Yeah, my African brother. Yeah, my African brother. What's up?
I'm African, but I ain't no brother of yours, son.
Hey, what is up? It is Lucky Punch Sports, and today we're going over my UFC 305 overview, betting picks, and predictions for the main card taking place this Saturday between Israel, the last stylebender Adesanya, and Dricus du Plessis. And the first fight on the main card is a banger welterweight bout between two unranked fighters, Lee the Leech Jinliang and Carlos the Nightmare Prates. And this is a great matchup of two amazing and very competent strikers. Jinliang is coming off a long layoff after an injury, and Carlos is newer to the UFC, but both fighters are very good, and this will be a banger of a fight. Carlos is on a 9-fight finishing streak after 2 finishes in the UFC, one with an amazing liver shot. And he can be the first UFC fighter to KO the Leech, show off just how good that striking is, and he needs to hit the books. His gym, the Fighting Nerds, have been on a crazy run in MMA. They might be the best gym of the year. And one thing I noticed they're exceptional at is their game planning. And Leech is a very good fighter with a very good chin and very good striking. So I'm very confident in the Fighting Nerds to game plan for this fight. And I think we're going to see Carlos come out with a great plan. He's going to piece up Leech, stay very careful, and win this fight on a decision as the heavy favorite, where the Leech should beat up the Nerd and get his first win in 2 years and show that his striking is still there. Carlos has a much longer reach to pick apart the Leech at distance, so the Leech is going to have to come in range and try and beat up Carlos, who's never been knocked out in the UFC. And Carlos has been doing great stamina work for his lungs by chain smoking cigarettes after his fights, so I'm very confident that Carlos will have the stamina to keep up. I don't know if he'll KO the Leech, but definitely a decision win. And now another, by definition, heavyweight banger between the number 10th ranked Thai Bam Bam Tuivasa versus Jairzinho Biggie Boy Rozenstruik. I think that's close. The number 12 ranked heavyweight. Both guys have 8 UFC wins, and they're both over 30 now. And Ty needs a win at all costs. He's on a 4-fight skid where he's gotten finished in the first 2 rounds. Against Tabura, he didn't even look good or like he was even trying. So I think he should be very patient and do not give up on the ground. I think Rozenstruik is going to try and strike with him, crack that glass cannon, or Ty's more of a glass pistol now. I wouldn't even call him a cannon. But Ty should not give up. If he loses, it could be the end of his UFC run. And Rozenstruik, not the best gas tank. A few KO wins, a few KO losses. So he should build momentum throughout the fight, play it slow and safe, because we have not seen Ty get very far in a fight, let alone win very far in a fight. So if you guys want to see that shoey, Ty needs to play it very careful, do not give up, and he needs a win at all costs to salvage his UFC career. And Rozenstruik has only gone to a decision 3 times in his career, so it's very important for Ty here, maybe to push him to his limits. And now a banger of a lightweight bout between the number 5 ranked Mateusz Gamrot versus Dan the Hangman Hooker at number 11 in the lightweight rankings, a very stacked and deep division. But Gamrot is 7-2 because he knows his game plan. He's a great wrestler. He even had success on the ground against Sarukin, which is very impressive. And both guys are coming off a win, and Dan Hooker is very, very tough. Everybody knows that. All of his losses, he does have 8 in the UFC, are aging very well. Recent losses against Edson Barboza, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, Islam Makhachev, and Arnold Allen are nothing to be ashamed of. All very tough opponents. So I don't think he'll be the first to finish Gamrot, and I don't think Gamrot will have the power to finish Hooker, but I think the Gamer will win this fight on the decision by his superior wrestling. So it's up to Hooker to stuff his takedowns and stay in that pocket like he's so good at. He's very strong in the pocket, fighting on his feet and putting the opponent in a dogfight. So Gamrot can become a real contender here by shooting for takedowns instead of going in that pocket. He can act tough, but Dan Hooker is tough and he will fight there. That's what he loves. So I think Hooker should rack up points, by winning all their exchanges and stuffing as many takedowns as he can, and I think that's his only way to winning here. But I like Gamrot, most likely by a decision. And now the co-main event is a flyweight fight between Kai Don't Blink Kara France, the Kiwi, versus Steve Astro Boy Erceg, the Aussie. And this is the 4th versus 7th ranked fighter in the division, where Erceg is coming off that very, very close title contention loss against Pantoja, where he was a very good opponent but made a few mistakes on the ground that cost him the fight. And Erceg is younger, he's taller, and he's very good inside range. Kai Kara France has good wins, a good UFC resume. His best wins are Askarov or maybe a washed up Cody Garbrandt, but Erceg is on the up and up. After a dominating knockout of Matt Schnell, he got the title shot as the number 10th ranked challenger, and he almost won that fight. Many people think he is the champ right now, but he shouldn't blink while he's at the top. Kai Kara France is very fast and is a legit title threat, and the only way he can become a legit title threat is by beating the legit title threat in Steve Erceg. Kara France should not get greedy for the finish. No one has finished Erceg in the UFC. And Kara France is the underdog now, even as the veteran, where Erceg should fight very dirty. He loves his dirty elbows, which I love to see. He's proficient on the ground. He showed it off against a very good grappler in Pantoja, but he should be a little smarter. A few bad takedown attempts kind of cost him that fight, where he would be the champ right now. So if he fights a little smarter, I think he'll dominate Kara France in every part of this fight. I think his grappling and striking were better than Kara France and on par with Pantoja, so he looks more than capable of being champed. If people are saying he skipped the line to move up here, it's a pretty weak division, and it seems like Dana White doesn't love flyweight, so it's the perfect time for Erceg to fly up the rankings and fight for that belt again. And what you've all been waiting for, the main event for the middleweight title, is Dricus Stillknox du Plessis, the champ, versus the number 2 ranked challenger, Israel the Last Stylebender, Adesanya. And I think Izzy should get way more respect for his activity in the division when he was the champ, but now he's coming back for his belt. Strickland stole it off Izzy, and Dricus stole it off Strickland. So now it's time for Izzy to get it back before he's too old. And Dricus needs to retire Izzy. But both guys are perfect counters for each other. DDP tends to blitz, very goofy style, throws a lot of wild overhands. And Izzy is a great counterpuncher that sits back, very patient, and waits for an overly aggressive attack, someone exactly like du Plessis. And I think it will be key for DDP to break into his range, just like Strickland did, make him uncomfortable, make him fight on that back foot that he loves so much. Alex did it to beat Izzy, and Izzy is bigger and longer than DDP, but he can catch DDP blitzing when he comes in. And DDP has great cardio. A lot of people says he doesn't, but he really does. And I think that will get him caught blitzing multiple times, trying to get inside to deal damage inside Izzy's range. And I don't think Izzy will finish the fight on these counters, but it will lead to him winning the fight on decision. I'm taking Izzy here. I think he can unload on a kind of wild striker at range. He can use that amazing kickboxing experience and catch Dricus trying to blitz in. I think Izzy is going to work very hard. He was kind of embarrassed to lose that belt. He got stepped on by Sean Strickland, who he did not expect. And I think he's going to be a lot smarter. He's going to be very patient, not get too cocky this time, and he's going to beat up Dricus at range, and Dricus won't have any game plan. So I like Izzy's chances here as the challenger, where Dricus needs to prove he's the real champ after a very close fight to win the belt off Sean Strickland. And before we move into my picks, I'll give you my past picks to get a little bit of credibility. My lock of the night, which is a pick that I guarantee will hit, is 10-1. So if you have a parlay, you want a little better odds, or if you want some money to cash because you're that desperate, take my lock of the night. And then my main card picks are self-explanatory, but 38, 22, and 1 is not so bad. In looking over the whole card, there's a lot of promising Aussie and Kiwi fighters on the card. Jack Jenkins is a great fighter. He would be my lock of the night, but he's like minus 1,000 now. He is coming off an injury loss, but he's very good. Junior Tafa versus Valter Walker is also an amazing matchup of two hyped fighters with older brothers in the UFC. Casey O'Neill versus Santos. Ricky Glenn versus Kenan Song. A lot of great fighters on this card, so let's move into my picks. So first off, we have the Leech versus Carlos Prates, and I think Carlos and the Fighting Nerds are going to game plan very well. He's going to pick apart an old vet who hasn't fought or won in 2 years, and I think Carlos will win most likely off decision. I don't think he'll crack the chin on Leech, but I think he will do a lot of damage and show off a dominating win. And then Tuivasa needs a win at all costs, and I don't think it's coming here. It might be the end of the road for him. I think Rozenstruik is just going to get a typical first 2 rounds finish for Tuivasa. Bet the under on rounds on this fight. Either way it goes, but I'm not too worried about Ty. But Ty needs a win at all costs. And then Gamrot versus Hooker. I think Hooker has a ton of heart, and I think he's going to try and KO Gamrot as fast as he can. But Gamrot's wrestling is far too good for Hooker. I think he'll wrestle him out, he won't finish the fight, and he'll get an easy decision, probably winning on every judge's scorecards. And then moving up to the co-main, we have Kai Kara France versus Steve Erceg, Aussie versus Kiwi. I think Erceg will take this fight. He's looked very good against Pantoja. He flew up the rankings, and Kai Kara France is simply a stepping stone for him. I think he's going to fight on the inside, throw a lot of elbows, a lot of hard jabs and crosses, and Kara France won't know what to do, and I think we could even see a KO from Erceg here. And now the main event, it's almost even money now. DDP versus Israel Adesanya. I think Adesanya is coming back with a vengeance. He's embarrassed for losing his belt, and he's coming to get it back. He took a break. I think he's going to be more motivated than ever before, and I think he's going to pick apart DDP at range. Plessis is going to try and blitz or shoot takedowns to get inside, and I think Adesanya's amazing kickboxing and using that longer range will just pick him apart, and we might even see a TKO late in the fight, but I would give it to Adesanya on a decision.
Is that your blood? Some of it, yeah. You can't smoke in here.
For my lock of the night, the guaranteed bet I guarantee will hit for you is Carlos Prates, the Brazilian fighting nerd, at minus 360 versus the Leech Jinliang. I think he's too old. He hasn't fought in 2 years. He's coming off that big injury, and I think the fighting nerds will show some blood, and he will dominate here.
I don't need a DNA test. I don't need a 36andMe to know where I'm from. You don't even, if I do a 26andMe, they'll say I'm from Nigeria. Do a 26andMe DNA test. It'll tell you where you're from.
And my punchline, or my story of the night, is gonna be the real African. And as you can see, Izzy and DDP, oh, wrong photos. Here we go. Izzy and DDP, 2 real Africans, are gonna be fighting for that. They've had a lot of arguments before about it, and this is the time to show off the real champ. There's a lot of bad blood here, and I think it will be an amazing fight to see which one deserves to be the middleweight champ. And the Punch Bowl, or the best fight of the night, if you want to tune into any fight to see a brawl, I'm also giving it to DDP versus Adesanya. I think these guys really do hate each other, and I think there will be a lot of damage. Even Sean Strickland, who kind of just spars most fights he's in, did so much damage to DDP, so I think this will be a great show of Izzy being one of the most dominating middleweights ever, coming back and fighting for his belt again, and I think he's going to want it bad, and he's going to fight very hard for it. So that concludes my UFC 305 breakdown. I hope you guys are excited for the card, as I am, and make sure to comment down below anything you think about the video, the card. I love talking to you guys. I'll make sure to respond. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to see more and support the channel, and see you guys next time.